Audiobook Academy Biography presents Russell Simmons. Russell Simmons, a co-founder of Def Jam Recordings, sparked the hip-hop movement by pushing artists like the Beastie Boys, Public Enemy, Run DMC, and LL Cool J. Russell Simmons was the hip-hop mogul before Jay-Z, Diddy, and Dre. The self-help guru and business tycoon Simmons was formerly a street hustler in New York City before becoming a record producer, talent manager, and record label owner. At Def Jam, the record company he co-founded with producer Rick Rubin, he's built an impressive personal wealth of more than $300 million thanks to his many varied interests. With Rubin on Run Walk DMC's This Way, he pioneered the rap-rock crossover. He also co-produced the first gold-certified hip-hop song, for Curtis Blow, and album, for LL Cool J. With Run DMC, he fused hip-hop and fashion. After being accused of sexual assault in late 2017, Simmons declared that he was resigning from all of his firms. However, he continued to face new charges of assault. Born and raised in Queens, New York City, Russell Simmons' birth date is October 4, 1957. A teacher and an administrator, Daniel Sr. and Evelyn raised their three sons in Queens, Jamaica, where he grew up as the second of their three boys. In 2013, Simmons told The Guardian that his Queens neighborhood had been destroyed by drugs, despite the fact that his parents were hard-working and aspiring. Everyone smoked weed. In the end, I was not a bad person, rather, I was a sad, diseased person who had tried every medication there was. Simmons was also a member of a street gang called the Seven Immortals, where he peddled drugs and conducted errands. In an effort to keep him out of trouble, his worried father had him acquire a job at Orange Julius in Greenwich Village, but Simmons was fired after a month for hurling oranges at passers-by. One of the Seven Immortals was slain, and that was his wake-up call. He left gang life, went to City College of New York, and majored in sociology there. How Simmons' career began. In 1977, Simmons was in a club when he heard world-famous MC Eddie Chiba rap. He felt like he'd just witnessed the invention of the wheel because it was Simmons' first exposure to hip-hop. Once Curtis Walker, who was signed to Simmons' newly founded company Rush Management, was a talented DJ and MC under the stage name of Curtis Blow, he began organizing parties with Simmons. They collaborated on Christmas Rappin' after the success of Rapper's Delight in 1979. Blow, on the other hand, remained unsigned by Simmons. Rather than waiting for the Polygram label to release Christmas Rappin', he made his own pressings and distributed them to DJs so they could play them in clubs. This piqued the interest of record stores, who were led to believe they could purchase the record. It was a brilliant move on Simmons' part when Polygram started receiving phone calls, and Blow landed his record deal. In the month of December of 1979, Christmas Rappin' was released and went on to sell over 500,000 copies. Simmons didn't finish college, but he had already decided on a career path. Run DMC and Rick Rubin's Def Jam. Daryl DMC McDaniels and Jason Jam Master Jay Mizzle created a hip-hop trio with Joseph Simmons' younger brother Joseph back in 1982. When he worked with the group, Simmons co-produced two songs, one of which, It's Like That, sounded like nothing else in hip-hop at the time. It was the first time he had reimagined the genre, and he wouldn't be the last. For Simmons, co-producing Sucker MCs was the single greatest creative endeavor of his life because of its sound and the effect it had on how people listened to hip-hop music. Simmons was able to arrange a deal for Run DMC with Profile Records based on the success of those two songs. It was in 1984 that Run's self-titled DMC's debut album was certified gold, making it the first rap album to do so. At the Danceteria nightclub in Manhattan, 26-year-old Simmons had met a young producer named Rick Rubin. Simmons, a shrewd businessman, and Rubin, a college punk rock lover from Long Island suburbs, were poles apart. Yet their chemistry was instant and Simmons joined Rubin's nascent label, Def Jam, as an equal partner, which he had been running from his dorm room at New York University. I Need a Beat, a song by LL Cool J, was the first hip-hop independent to secure a distribution deal with Columbia Records, the first deal of its sort for a major label for a hip-hop independent. Def Jam is being sold off for a profit. Def Jam paved the way for hip-hop for the next 4 years. The Beastie Boys' License to Ill album turned frat boy rap into an unlikely global phenomenon. Run single DMC's My Adidas caught the attention of sportswear giant Adidas. The Run DMC and Aerosmith collaboration on Walk This Way became the first music video featuring a hip-hop act to be played on heavy rotation at MTV. And the Beastie Boys' License to Ill album turned frat boy rap into an unlikely global phenomenon. In 1988, Rubin left the label under mysterious circumstances. It was widely rumored that Rubin lost a power struggle with Leor Cohen at Def Jam and would go on to become the label's president, while Simmons intimated to Billboard in 2016 that there had been creative disputes, but also claimed that they had not been insurmountable. Polygram bought half of Def Jam in 1994 from Simmons and Cohen for $33 million. Seagram, which had owned Polygram by then, bought the rest in 1999 for $130 million. Def Jam is still extremely important, even though neither of its founders is involved in the label, which is now under the umbrella of Universal Music Group. Fat Farm to global grind to Def Jam comedy, says the mogul. As early as the sale of Def Jam, Simmons was expanding his financial activities outside of music, providing a model for other hip-hop moguls to follow. Def Comedy Jam and Russell Simmons Presents Def Poetry were two of the television series that he co-founded with Lathan Simmons in 1989, and the latter went on to win a Tony Award. For an estimated $140 million, he sold his clothes brand Fat Farm to Kellwood in 2004 after starting Fat Farm in 1992 and expanding it to become Fat Fashions. His other two clothing companies, Argyle Culture and Tantris, cater to the millennial male. Since then, he has co-founded Untitled LLC and sold it to the Green Dot Corporation in January 2017 for $147 million. It provides low-income consumers with prepaid debit cards. Def Pictures, Rush Books, and the pop culture website Global Grind all fall under Simmons' parent company, Rush Communications, which he uses to oversee a wide range of businesses, including Celsius, the world's first negative-calorie drink, Def Pictures, and the self-help book Do You? 12 Laws to Access the Power in You to Achieve Happiness and Success, which has a foreword by Donald Trump. The current president was once considered a friend by Simmons, who has known Trump for over 3 decades. When Simmons began to publicly criticize Trump during the 2016 election campaign, that friendship began to deteriorate. In an open letter to Trump published by the Huffington Post on November 11, 2016, Simmons stated, "You must stop this vile and hurtful language towards women and people of color. That can't happen. I can see why a new generation of young people is afraid that our country has elected its first dictator. However, I know you well enough to assume that you are open to hearing what other people have to say about you." Yogi's Way, From the Big Apple to the Hollywood Hills. In 2014, Simmons made the move to Los Angeles, settling in the Hollywood Hills. In 2009, he divorced Kimora Lee, with whom he has 2 children, Ming Lee and Aoki Lee. A year later, in November 2016, he opened the Tantris Yoga facility in West Hollywood, an 8,000-square-foot venue with 2 studios and a juice bar. Simmons, who has been a devoted yogi for over 2 decades, currently teaches a class on Fridays. Tantris had a focus on devotional music until it closed in the summer of 2018, according to him, as reported by The Hollywood Reporter. Allegations of sexual assault and the employee's resignation. Simmons was accused of sexually assaulting model Carrie Clausen Culley in November 2017 as a flood of women came forward to discuss their own experiences with prominent men. In order to explain himself, Simmons claimed that the encounter was mutual. Jenny Lumet, the daughter of legendary Hollywood filmmaker Sidney Lumet, wrote a story for The Hollywood Reporter on November 30 describing an unwelcome sexual contact with Simmons in 1991. Simmons then issued a statement in which he admitted that her feelings of dread and intimidation are true, but that he had misremembered the events of that night. He went on to say that he was standing down from a number of his enterprises in order to not interfere with their objectives. He added, "There is now a new generation of exceptional executives who are pushing the culture and consciousness forward," he stated. "When it comes to my own personal and spiritual development, I'm going to step aside and focus on listening." Additions to the accusations. New York Times reported on December 13 that 3 additional women had accused Simmons of rape and related other instances in which the music producer exposed himself or was abusive. According to Simmons' response, "I absolutely refute all these charges. There have been no arguments in any of my relationships, and I have been shocked to the core by these heinous allegations. Respect, decency, equality, and power are all issues that women worldwide are fighting for. I have a great deal of admiration for the women's movement. I've come to terms with the fact that I'm willing to get my hands dirty in order to witness the emergence of a new consciousness about women." The Hollywood Reporter published a lengthy report in June 2018 detailing new allegations against Simmons, this time from Scylla Abrams, a former Def Jam staffer. While Abrams tried to cut off the physical element of their connection in the early 1990s, he allegedly forced himself on her when he was so drunk that she couldn't stop him. An interview with Joy Reid on MSNBC was also mentioned in the THR report, but MSNBC backed out due to worries about the authenticity of Abrams's assertions in an article in The New Yorker. The defendant's lawyer issued a statement saying, "THR ignored the enormous evidence Russell Simmons offered to support his emphatic denial of any misconduct, both on the record and off the record." A report from 24 years ago, which did not even make it through the most reputable news sites, is incredibly disappointing given that there is a mountain of evidence to the contrary. To the swelling list of Simmons' accusers, Alexia Norton Jones, the daughter of a former Martin Luther King Jr. lawyer, added her name in July with her first-person testimony in Variety. Jones claims she went on a date with the Rising record executive in 1990, after which he unexpectedly and violently wanted to have sex with her, until she agreed. Def Jam executive Drew Dixon's rape allegations against Simmons were the basis of the documentary On the Record, which explored the alleged wrongdoing of Simmons at the label. Despite Oprah Winfrey's highly publicized withdrawal from the film in January 2020, On the Record opened at the Sundance Film Festival as scheduled shortly thereafter and received positive reviews. Thank you for listening in Audiobook Academy. Don't forget to subscribe and smash that like button for more content like this. See you in next video.